Week 2.
Let's go. Back here. Another good week. EC, baby.
It was a great week.
Yes, it was. And we back. Can you believe it? Already? Week 2? Week 2, baby.
I could believe it.
At you. Yeah, I can't believe. Well, I can't believe it, and I can't. Right? Of course, I watched it, so I know that week 1 did happen.
Is done. Yeah.
It's done. But at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, we're already at week 2.
Already.
Already, I'm so excited. Well, excited about week 2, but not so excited about the performance that I seen from my Eagles. Let's get right to it. You know,
you want to womp that or what? What do you want to do?
I just want to rip the band-aids right off. You know what I mean? Like, let's just go right to it. It's gonna hurt. You guys know. For me,
but they look so good. Started
off so well. Definitely a clear definition of that you got to finish the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a couple of things. We got musical chairs on the offensive line. And that's bad news for Wentz because, you know, of course, if you don't, not too many quarterbacks, I don't even know one that with a bad offensive line, especially with musical chairs, that means that they don't have chemistry. They're not in sync. So you're going to be miscues as far as on the offense. And with those type of things actually going on, that's bad. That's a recipe for bad news. He got sacked a number of times, like 8 times.
Yes, he did.
Bunch of turnovers. He was being rushed. And then he tried to play hero ball too. This is one part that
we talked about that front 7 though.
Yeah, exactly.
We did talk about that front 7 being legit.
Yes,
exactly, and that you're absolutely correct. We repeatedly made sure that we emphasize how legit Washington football team front 7 is, and so you know they actually showed that to be actually true. So they were extremely aggressive, especially knowing that one side was actually missing some pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the question. This looks like they signed a couple of practice squad O-line. That's nothing to be excited about. But I don't know how you remedy, you know, to having missing 2 holes in your offensive line right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping that you know you got Aaron Donald coming to town, so you got some
better figure it out quick.
Exactly, it's going to get real, or it's going to get real ugly. On the outside, you also have Jalen Ramsey. So if you throwing those Twinkies out there, he's definitely going to go eat. Okay, so you know, Wentz has to definitely do better with protecting the ball. Just taking the dump down, right? That's right. The thing that I feel like is not emphasized enough for him. Is just not all the time is going to be the home run. Not all the time you're going to be able to break the tackle and get out of it. Sometimes take the sack, but not the 13 yards. Take the sack that keeps it in field goal range, right. And you know, and sometimes just dump the ball down. Sometimes you know, even if that person's down the field 8 yards, 5 yards is okay. Let's get back to the yard and distance and go for it again. So it's just one of those things. I hope that progression happens. It has to turn around quick because, as we talked about, the Rams are coming to town. Jared Goff, they actually looked good last week, actually getting that win against the Cowboys last week. So, I expect them to kind of, have that momentum going. Robert Woods, in my opinion, he's a starter.
He looked really good. Yeah.
He looked really good. He's definitely someone I would start.
Kept breaking away.
Yes.
For sure. And he knows he's very creative with that. Like he does really good with his route running and able to create some separation for Jared to actually have a connection with him. So he's and I have him in my redraft league, so I was excited to see that he looks really good there.
There you go. I was waiting to hear that.
Cooper Kupp also looks really good, right? He's finding ways to still kind of be active. I was surprised to actually see that offense still be as explosive. Again, it's not as explosive as it once was with Gerald when they had Brandon Cooks.
Malcolm Brown showed them a little something. Though.
Yes,
he was all over it.
Yes,
he was all over it.
Gerald even had to tweet him like, "Lord have mercy."
What?
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, he's definitely going to work. And so when you see all of those things, it's just one of those things that you kind of think that the Rams maybe have got some things figured out and they're not missing too much from what was subtracted from them on the offense and defense. Now, it was a questionable call there at the end of that Dallas game. I'm sure some Cowboys fans are a little upset with as far as the offensive pass interference on Jalen Ramsey. He sold it. He did what he's supposed to do, right?
Yep.
And the number one thing is you're supposed to be catching the ball. Your hand should not ever be back trying to push. Now, granted, if you do that, you just got to understand, hey, that comes with the territory. So this week, I'm looking forward to see what the Eagles are going to do. I think they do bounce back this week. Somehow find a way to run the ball. I'm going to be interested to see if Miles Sanders, if he's able to actually start and come back to this game. We have some injuries on the defensive line, but we have some players actually step up on the defensive lines. Wide receiver wise, Deshaun Jack, it seems like he actually had a little injury last week. Hopefully that's something that kind of goes away. It's not as serious. It looks like the word is he's just being managed. So that's going to be something to actually watch. The rookie, Jalen, he actually got away a couple of times regular as far as being able to and catching some deep balls. Can we, build on that? If you can establish the run, then you can do the play action that actually allows those type of plays to happen. So, but in order to run, you got to be able to block. So it's, it's definitely a whole connection here. I'm speaking more with my heart. I think the way the Rams looks, they look like they are definitely ready to come across town. Across the country and actually win. That's my concern is that hopefully the travel is an early game, 1:00 game, that maybe the Eagles can kind of take advantage of that with the travel. Now, again, the crowd is not going to be a factor, but that's what I expect to happen.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold prediction. Yeah, and it's actually like you said, going to be a really good game. I think Cam Akers, he did pretty well as well. You can always sprinkle him in behind Malcolm Brown. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot that y'all gotta adjust to. A lot of adjustments with a lot of injuries. So but I think y'all can rumble with the best of them because y'all are the Eagles, the Philadelphia Fighting Eagles, and y'all they have a lot of pride in their team. Like I've watched it year after year living here in Philly, so I hope
you're right. You're saying all the things I want to hear.
I can say one thing, like y'all always have a kind of rocky start against the Redskins, no matter what. That's always a tough game for the season opener. But how you started the game was good. I think if they can just figure out a way to constantly, keep their foot on their neck, you know what I mean? Because they did have them on the road.
Right. So, that's the thing is that you got to stop watching the scoreboard and actually focus on the game and still focus on executing. And that's the next level is that, Wentz has to take that step as far as maturity is that, you're no longer a young player. Now, you've been here for several years and certain expectations. You got to learn how to protect the ball. It's got to be a level of maturity that actually happens. So I hope that happens this week.
Would you start him this week?
Wentz, in a 2-quarterback league, yes. If he's your only
solo,
no. I would. I think it's better options. No, I would not against the Rams.
Yeah, that Aaron Donald effect is real. He's a monster.
Well,
and then also Jalen
IDP play Aaron Donald if you're an IDP.
Yeah, for sure. And Jalen, you have to be real. He just threw two picks. It pains me to say, but listen, Jalen should be, hopefully it doesn't happen. I'm hoping that Wentz doesn't throw it, but I think Jalen Ramsey could be in line for maybe a pick.
Who is the prediction for Big Baller fantasy play this game? There can only be one.
One.
Well, listen, this is disclaimer. If Miles Sanders is able to play, I like him getting busy in this game. But of course, if he doesn't make the start, no, I don't have nothing.
Nothing.
I would go with Cooper Kupp. I think they're gonna flip flop. Woods, he went off. He did his thing. Now I think it's gonna be Cooper's time to shine. He's a pretty dependable wide receiver as well. So yeah, I think they're gonna be able to keep it rolling.
You know what? I revised that. If it's not Miles Sanders doesn't play, let me go back and say that I would go with Michael Brown. Being able to run the bar, start him.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice.
Not at all. So then, we talk about Denver Broncos. They coming off a Monday night game.
Was it the Drew Lock coming out party you expected?
Not so much. Not so much. He had some bright spots, honestly. He did have a connection with the rookie Judy. He did, he started to show. Unfortunately, he was down Cortland Sutton. So that's along with the other injuries that they have on the defensive side of the ball. Without having that receiver, I think was a big part. And then as far as the running backs, they at points I think they actually look good. Like Melvin Gordon actually looked good at certain points. He got into the end zone. Phil Lindsay, as we talked about, does have an injury, but he did get into the end zone. So those are some things that you take away positive. But it wasn't a coming out party that I would say per se. But I still have hope. It's a little light at the end of the tunnel. I think, he, excuse me, at Tennessee, you're not going to play Tennessee every week. That's a great defense.
Yeah, it is.
So I think in the coming weeks, it's going to get a little bit better. And that could start, well, no, not this week, not against Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, take that all the way back. Pittsburgh defense looked great also.
Yes,
so I think it's going to take a couple of weeks for Drew. Like he might have his moments, but listen, Pittsburgh, and they got Bud Dupree coming off, TJ Watt, that they look aggressive. They look ready. They have a nice secondary there also.
Bud Dupree looked better than Bush last night.
How about that? And it's just, rushing the passer. Like he was just, it seemed like every time when it came around, coming around that corner, perfect timing, and yeah, no problems, knocking the ball away, causing havoc, applying pressure. I think that's all the things he's going to continue to do for sure.
See, my thing with the Steelers is they actually came into that game with a game plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually said, okay, we're going to hone in on two people. We're going to make sure Daniel Jones doesn't get off. We're going to make sure to keep Saquon.
And they wrapped him up.
I'm saying every single time he hiked that ball, they were on him. They were on him. They were on him. The New York Giants line hasn't been good for a very long time since Eli was able to stay upright. So it's been a long time since they had an offensive line. So I will say the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are pretty good, sort of say because they went against the average team. But I will say going against these Broncos is going to be a little bit tougher because their line is a little bit more steady. Hopefully, with the whole Sutton situation, he might get him back or whatever. But
yeah, he should possibly be back this week. That's one to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. But I think Denver might come out, a little sour from how they just lost, and I think they might make some noise.
Right, they got a good chance. You're absolutely right. The opponent definitely has some factor into the way that Steelers actually look. But I do think that defense just is going to be a force to reckon with for sure this year.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point. Denver has a lot of weapons. Noah Fant also looked good at tight end. Got a touchdown. So listen, they have a lot of weapons that impose a lot of different options. Where I was surprised, like last night, you didn't see Ingram kind of get going at all. Really, last night. Saquon, like we said, he wrapped up the run game. So I want to see do that continue with the two running backs this week with Gordon and if Lindsey able to go, how they're able to.
What was your take on Pittsburgh's play? Because leading in, I'm gonna raise my hand again. I kept saying that they weren't going to be as explosive. Again, it was the Giants, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I don't want to overreact because it was the Giants, right? They look good, but it was the Giants, and we don't expect the Giants to look, but to do but so much. They have holes on the offense and defensive side of the ball. So this is going to me be a good measuring stick. What they look like against the Denver Broncos this week.
Okay.
I will be honest. They didn't see expectations last week, but again, I'm going to reserve my initial prediction just to see how they look up against a legitimate opponent, a little bit tougher opponent this week for sure.
So who you guys liking this week as your fantasy plays?
Juju.
You gotta love Juju. You kidding me? After what he did?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, Eric Ebron. I think he actually looked. He looks good last week. Had a couple of catches last night. So I expect him to continue to build on that. I am concerned about the running game with Pittsburgh. So I'll probably keep an eye on Connor. He may be a sit this week.
Yeah, just due to those nagging injuries. Broncos, their defense did look legit. It was some times where they made it tough for Henry to actually even get out, get out anywhere and do anything, like get busy. So their defense. They got
Bradley Chubb on that defensive line. He's legit. Melvin Gordon, start him.
And that was a good pick. You did tell somebody on Twitter to play Melvin Gordon. You got called out by somebody, and you came back on him and let them know why, though. So good pick on that.
For sure. Listen, so Teddy Bridgewater, he looked like he had a nice connection with Robbie Anderson, right?
Yes.
Surprisingly,
you're breaking my heart.
Listen, I was happy to see it. I had Teddy going in RSO. He did actually show a lot of, like you said, G, a lot of poise. He did actually show a lot of that in the pocket. Able to connect with a lot of his receivers. I think he can build on that. Tough opponent though, right? Yeah. Tom Brady. Do we think that Brady would actually go 0-2?
I do.
Ooh.
I mean, let's just we could call it for what it is. They said if you look at the stat line, Brady didn't have a game where he threw 2 picks like in forever. Yeah. But there's a first time for everything. And it seems that this is the season where that is.
Right.
See, I'm not quite sure. Just because of Carolina defense, what we talked about, 7 of the starters?
Yeah, 7. Jeremy Chin looked good though, right, G?
He did.
Oh, yeah. Young fella. He I grabbed him at the end of my rookie draft. And he's all over the field. He can line up with the best of them. I like their defense. I think they're a lot younger, but it's definitely gonna be one to show if Tom Brady can definitely shake off that rust.
Yeah, another divisional matchup. Like the schedulers didn't do him any favors, gave him 2 back-to-back.
And they shouldn't either.
They're right. How about that? He did choose to go there. But
football.
He got 2 back-to-back division. I don't think he can go 0-2 in that division, especially early. So I think they figure out a way. I think Tom Brady He had some miscues with Mike Evans, right? We've seen that, but keep in mind Mike Evans is also injured, so he wasn't at his full. But they had some miscues, definitely. To your point, he did throw some picks. He didn't play well at certain points, so that's something to definitely keep an eye on to those Tom Brady owners. But because of the matchup and because of those new starters, I would actually say Tom Brady is a start this week. Now, I didn't really like what I seen from Leonard Fournette. What do you guys think? Like, I didn't see too much from him.
I like Jones a lot better.
I was about to say, I would say sit Leonard Fournette until that gets figured out or an injury happen. Sit him. Rob Jones, to your point, he looked great. I like the way he had, control as far as running it. And it seems like it's going to be a committee. But I did like what he brought to the table. So for me, I would definitely start Jones as running back. Let's talk about the wide receivers.
Oh yeah,
you got a good one, right?
Listen. Godwin, he had a tough day. But that was just due to, I guess, Tom Brady and him not being able to deliver the ball.
Marshawn Lattimore is not a slouch though. Like that. That New Orleans D is they are legit in that secondary. Malcolm Jenkins, I loved him for a lot of years here in Philly. Yeah. He brings the wood. He knocked Brandon Cooks right out the Super Bowl. So listen, that's a legit force that they were going against last week. I think it might be a little different this week. I think get your feet wet a little bit better. It's going to take time, right? Everything takes time.
Yes, it does.
And so that's the thing with Tampa Bay that they have to keep in mind is that it's going to take some time to actually kind of get through some of the kinks and hopefully they can ride the run game. I think it's going to be their best asset. That and the two tight ends. If you use those to your asset, I think that would kind of get them through some of the bumpy roads. And then that the wide receivers that you talked about. Godwin had a slow start to your point that you talked about, G.
Evans, he kind of teetered off.
He wasn't. Gronk didn't even have a great impression that I was expecting.
Not at all.
Surprisingly. So,
but they haven't really balled out together as a unit. So I guess they were paper champs to start off the year. Now they got to prove to actually be champs.
Right. Would you start Chris this week? Wide receiver?
Yeah. Well, I have to in my redraft league. I have to.
Not just because he's in your redraft,
and also in real life. I mean, it's Chris Godwin. You gotta start him. He's the number one. I think his connection with Mike Evans is gonna take a little time. Maybe week 4, week 5. Come back. But he seems to have a pretty good connection with, like I said, handing off to Ronald Jones as well. But his third wide receiver, Scotty Miller, and he kind of gave me like the Edelman. What was the other wide receiver who he liked to throw to all the time?
Amendola?
Yeah, he kind of Amendola, and there was another one too that Tom Brady.
Burkhead.
He was always there
Deion
to
Lewis,
bail him out.
Yep.
Always there to bail him out. So I think that he's going to kind of utilize him more for the dink and dunk because I don't know. It's going to take him a while. He's got to get used to the speed of the game. All of them do, really.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it takes time, but I think this is the best recipe. Carolina now, Teddy Bridgewater is definitely going to put that defense to the test. Yes, but I think Tampa Bay does have a sound defense, especially their linebackers. I do like them a lot. I think they do show up in this game and find a way to actually win. On the Carolina side of things, would you start Robbie Anderson this week?
If you don't start him, flex, but I would definitely start him.
You can't deny the connection. I mean, you gotta go with the hot hand. Coaches do it all the time. Yeah. Fantasy's the same thing. You gotta go with the hot hand. And right now, Robbie Anderson showed to be the hot hand. DJ Moore actually had a couple of drops last game. Not good.
I think he fixes that. Yeah, I think he fixes that. And then of course, without question, Christian McCaffrey. We know, no brainer. Of course, you're starting him. Another disappointing one for this week was the 49ers. As we talked about, took that L to
great game,
Arizona.
Great
Arizona.
Game. Yeah, it was.
Now they got to travel to New York to play the Jets. I think that's going to be an easy one.
Yeah, it's called a tune-up game.
Right.
Yeah. Let's get it together, fellas.
They have no Le'Veon Bell. With Bell being out, they did sign another running back.
Kevin Ballage. Yeah.
So that's, him with Frank Gore. I don't have too much stock in it. I do like what Crowder is actually bringing to the table as a starting wide receiber, fantasy-wise.
He lit it up. He lit
it up. Start him.
That was a shocker right there.
For sure. Now, as far as that, outside of that, I didn't like too much else from the Jets, and I think it's just going to be that type of year for them on the offensive side. San Francisco, though, Jimmy G. I think this may be what he may need to kind of get him going. Came off a tough loss last week. Kittle's also looks like he's going to
banged up.
He's banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to miss the week, but he looks like he's definitely banged up. definitely going to have to lean on the running game. But I think they have plenty of running backs that actually can suffice. And if he goes with Raheem and actually, feed the ball to them, McKinnon, I think that they can actually be successful as far as with the running game. I would start McKinnon for sure.
Yeah, I would give him more of the flex. I would definitely start Raheem though. He would definitely be my RB1 or two.
Yeah, Raheem did well.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm. He did. He definitely did.
No Tevin Coleman love, huh?
Nah,
a little bit. I mean, it's gonna take a while. If somebody get injured, he's definitely gonna be somebody. Yeah,
that's what makes it so tough. It's like
I read actually I heard it in the game and then kind of looked it up a little bit, but they were talking about how the Niners are kind of changing and doing like the whole new look for the league with having like 3 running backs over 500 yards. Could you imagine how nasty fantasy is going to be if you have every team with like a committee of 3?
Beautiful. I love it.
You love it? Dude, we're going to be drafting team running backs. Exactly. Be like, I got the Chiefs running back situation.
Right. You're going to have to. You got to invest in the backfield. That might be the new wave for the fantasy in the future, though. That's a solid point that you bring up there for sure. But then I got to talk about Buffalo.
That no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
They came out the gate pretty strong.
Johnny Brown.
Yeah. Definitely. Josh Allen. I like what he looked like.
Mr. Wheels.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. He knows how to use his feet along with his arm. I think, fantasy wise, you're gonna love him. I say start him this week against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Now Miami, Fitzmagic didn't quite look so magical. Week 1
look a little fizzled a little bit.
And that's the thing too with respect with him, right? We've seen this play out before. We know that he's going to have a horrible game and then he'll come back out of nowhere and have a great game. So I wouldn't count him out quite yet. If he's 2 quarterback leads, maybe that's something an option as far as actually starting Fitz. It looks like Parker's actually dealing with an injury, a little banged up there.
Yeah. So Preston, he definitely might get the flex at the start.
I like that. That's a nice flex option. Absolutely. As far as the running back situation there, I wouldn't start any. Would you start Jordan Howard? No.
No. I would if you really need the flex, yes. But other than that, no.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
All right.
I would pass. I would use more so Buffalo's backfield before I would use Miami's.
And I was just about to get to that. And so I like that matchup this week for sure. I think Singletary is definitely a start. Along with if you happen to have the rookie Zach Moss, a nice little flex option. If you're in those deeper leagues, I think he's going to get a couple of touchdowns, or chances at the goal line. Do you like any of the receivers? We talked about John Brown.
Oh yeah.
You had a little dig sighting out there. Just one. But
step up.
Yeah. I think he's a step down from last year.
No, I'm just saying, is he going to step it up this week?
Oh yeah, he better. Like you should not return with the same output you had the following week if you did almost nothing. So
we starting him or flexing him?
I will flex him. It's going to take him a while to get used to his team, and I think he's definitely going to be in a duel with John Brown for that number 1 spot. So
I like that.
But I also like that. I also like Knox too, though.
I was going to say the tight end.
Yeah,
tight end is. I like Knox. Surprisingly, that was another thing. That it seems like a lot more tight ends might be a little bit more valuable for you here in fantasy this year. It won't be just the top 3. So the Minnesota Vikings. I'm sorry, G. I had to go through the same pain.
Yeah,
listen, we're in the same boat. I feel you.
Heartache
Hotel. That's what you're right.
Now we kind of did the opposite of what y'all did last week. Y'all got out to the gate real well as far as the Eagles did, and we did nothing out of the gate. Like we were horrible. I want to say by halftime, Cousins only threw maybe 6 passes. Like you can't do that in the NFL at all. So hopefully this is our bounce back game against the Colts, but it's going to be a little tough out there with Phillips slinging the ball.
Right, he's going to try to keep him in the game for sure. But I think, to your point, I like where you're going with that.
Yeah, I'm hoping Kirk can he can steady the ship. Cook, he looked good as ever.
He's trying to be your first cousin.
Yeah,
Madison also looked good.
Yeah, Madison
did look
fills
good.
in. Like you kind of said, they're starting to use multi-tier or multi-level running backs. They have different.
Committee is the way.
Yeah, you kind of have to go committee if you want the long haul. You know what I mean?
Talking about running backs, I think Oak can tell us about a running back for the Colts, right?
I think so. Nine Hines. Nah, man. Nah. We did kind of touch on it last week. We did say that word on the street was that Phillip Rivers could have developed a rapport with Naeem, and it looks like those reports may have actually been true. Now, granted, the injury to Mac absolutely helped.
Yeah, out for the
but
season.
Even before Mac was out, he was already starting to connect with Naeem watching the game.
How about that? Yeah, for sure. And also the rookie didn't look too bad, Jonathan Taylor.
He didn't. That's why I say it's only a matter of time. Naeem's is going to probably be a great play for the rest of this year, but it's clear now that this is Jonathan Taylor's team.
Absolutely. I definitely walked away with that same conclusion there. As far as Phillip Rivers' connection with the wide receivers.
Did you see that T.Y. connection?
Nah. He had more of a.
Was it there for your liking, G?
Not quite. He was there better with Paris Campbell than he was.
Yeah,
with,
I did see
for sure.
Paris better. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. So this week, Campbell start him. I do.
Yeah.
I think Hines, as we talked about, a clear cut start him. Maybe you're lucky enough to grab him off a waiver wire, but.
Or maybe you were lucky enough to have him, just sitting on your bench for 3 years.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly, in those good old dynasty leagues. Like,
yeah.
You see how you rub that in our face? See how you do that? No, but I like Minnesota on the bounce back in this game and getting a W for sure.
I'm hoping. I like the way that sounds. You can say that again.
So, Cowboys, another team that took a tough loss last week, right? They got the Atlanta Falcons coming to town. Yeah, Americans team. No, I'm just joking. That's just a little bit of the Eagles, little jab there, Cowboy fans. All right, but you guys did take had several injuries that actually happened. It looks like the tight end Gerald is actually going to be out.
Yeah,
for the
that
year.
was tough.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you also have an injury to your offensive line that they're dealing with, and then the linebacker Van Der Esch. It seems like he's going to actually be out again, dealing with a neck injury. So everybody's getting hit with the injury bug.
That's one L that they did not need to take on the defensive side.
How about that? And listen, you get no sympathy for me. I'm an Eagles fan. We have tons of injuries too. We just have tons of injuries too. But so that's going to be the name of the game. It seems like this year is who's going to be able to get that next man to step up, and be able to find a way to actually, even with those injuries, to still find a way to win. I think that the Cowboys do get back on the winning side of things. Atlanta is going to be a tough matchup. I think it's going to be an exciting game. And in my opinion, actually, I would go even for the game of the week. And it's a 1:00 game. But I think that's how much excitement I think. Of course, you're going to see Matt Ryan and Julio getting off. But as we predicted, we talked about Calvin Ridley. Yeah, we think that's going to be the changing of the guard. Julio owners should still be happy. He did give you great production, and I think that continues. But he always misses out on touchdowns. And so that was the same type of message that continued last week. Ridley did get into the end zone. I think that
he got him.
I say start Calvin Ridley for sure this week. I even like Matt Ryan as a little sleeper. Deep leagues looking for a quarterback. I think he's a nice start this week. Cowboys, no brainer. Of course, Zeke is always a start.
The young guy, CD Lamb.
That's what I was just gonna go with. He had flashes, but not a great first game. Kind of what I expected though with most rookies. He was more as to what I expected. I wouldn't start him this week. I would actually sit him.
How about Amari?
He didn't look too great. Gallup he would look better to me. And the tight end didn't look bad until he got hurt. But so for me this week, I would go with the stardom for Amari. I think he going against Julio. I think he has to step up. He has to show his face. So I would start him. What about Dak? G?
I would actually start Dak. He actually played pretty good this week. Yeah, against Atlanta. He played pretty good this week. Put up some pretty good numbers this week. And I think he should do the same against Atlanta. Atlanta's defense isn't something to fear. I would definitely give him the start, Zeke to start, like you said, Gallup to start. So, yeah, on the Atlanta side, I'd definitely give Julio, Calvin Ridley. I would flex Gurley and
Hurst had a little slow start at tight end.
Yeah, but he had a couple grabs.
So I would he had a couple grabs. He did have a couple of grabs. But I would probably go with a sit this week. Overall, like I said, I think the Cowboys get the W this week. It's going to be a close game, tight game. I think they found a way to win it. So that Washington football team.
What about them?
They beat my Eagles. We got to talk about it. Go ahead and, like I said, this is therapy for me. Talking about it is therapy now. All jokes aside, they look well, right? We talked about their front seven, their defense having an impact. I think that continues this week. Now they are going against a tougher opponent with not as many holes in the offensive line when you talk about Arizona. And you also when you talk about Arizona, that's a team that gets rid of the ball fast. That could be a recipe for disaster for Washington, because the best remedy for a defense that's putting a lot of pressure is to get rid of the ball fast. Those screen passes, those just really quick getting rid of the ball. And I think that's going to actually happen. Arizona, Kyle Murray, he looked great in week 1. I think his connection with D-Hop is going to continue. In my opinion, both of them are starts.
Easy. Yeah. Kenyon Drake had a little tough time. Would you start him?
Against Washington?
Flex.
Flex? I could be buying that for flex. I was going to say Washington defense, like I said, is legit. They're really tough against the run. So I think it's, he had a little tough sledding, as you mentioned, in week 1.
But people took him, in their drafts, like the flex play may be the smarter option than just sitting him completely. Because I feel like some people were taking him high up because he was supposed to be the every down back in Arizona.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do like him as a nice little flex this week. To you guys' point, I don't think can be trusted yet as RB1 or 2, but a great flex option if you have that flexibility in your line. I definitely like that. Now on the Washington side of things, Peyton Barber, he looked really, really good last week. I do like him as a RB2, 3, or even a flex option for you. What else do you actually trust from the Washington football team? Now, we know they got Scary Terry.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say, outside of Scary Terry.
Yeah, they ain't got much.
Logan Thomas, tight end, it's not something I would feel comfortable starting. I mean, if you're in a deep, deep league and you're just looking for anything or just some production with high upside possibility.
I would say Washington is probably the team where I would play more IDP players than offensive players.
How about that? I like that as an analogy. I can definitely get with that. I'm on board with that. Yeah, their defensive side is definitely a force. But I do like I said, I like Arizona. I like what they bring to the table. I think they actually get off to 2-0 after the victory over the football team.
Absolutely.
So then, Aaron Rodgers, we got to give him his love, right? I have him in our redraft league. I think he played well. Sorry, G, against your Minnesota Vikings. Last week, I think he came out the gate well. Him and Devontae Adams had a great week 1 as far as production. With the great news is that Detroit's coming to town. I think that continues that connection. I think Aaron Rodgers is, and this is why I even grabbed it myself, is that I think he has a chip on his shoulder. I think he has a lot to prove. That team, instead of them giving him a weapon in the first round, they went quarterback. They didn't give him much options to improve, and so
they gave him motivation.
Right, I was about to say, what they did give him is the great motivation. They didn't really update his weaponry around him, but gave him great motivation. And one thing to his benefit in the offseason that happened that was this type of year that it was, is that he at least knew his wide receiver, so he was able to kind of build on some of the connections that he had last year. So he did look good, and I think that continues with Detroit. Detroit is going to, it's going to be a division matchup. They're going to try to make it a little interesting. Matt Stafford throwing the ball around. It's going to be something to watch to see if Kenny Galladay is able to actually go for this game.
Right.
This week.
And even with that, I would tread lightly.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's something to watch, but then, I'm not sure. He's going to have to be eased back into, for sure. It looks like the tight end, TJ, and Matt Stafford have a nice connection.
That looked good.
It definitely did. I would start TJ. Okay. And then when it comes to running back situation, DeAndre Swift, yeah, he did look good. Had moments last week, and I think he can build off of that. And
like
probably
him
get
as
into
a
the end
start?
zone. I would say RB2, yes, start him.
How about AP? You flex AP?
I was just about to say that. I would flex. I like AP as a nice little flex. Yeah. He's going to get a lot of touches, it looks like. That was definitely a recipe for the week 1. With Green Bay, of course, Aaron Rodgers, that's an automatic start. We got
Lazard looked good too.
He did. Yeah. He looked great. So that's a nice little flex play. I do like him at a flex.
Yep.
Nice little sleeper. As
Aaron
far
Jones?
Aaron Jones definitely RB1. Start him. And Devontae Adams, wide receiver one. No brainer. Start him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Green Bay gets the W.
Same here. I think they're too much for the Lions.
Yeah, that's for sure. So then, another team that played on Monday night, we talked about a little bit already, was the Giants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Danny Dimes, and one thing about it, they couldn't get the run going at all against Pittsburgh.
Right.
It's definitely struggled. Saquon struggled. He did come out after the game saying, he expects to be better. I don't know how much better he can be without an offensive line. It's so crucial to the protection of your quarterback and also your ability to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so those both things to me are going to be affected all year long. But Chicago Bears, pass rush. Danny Dimes is going to be under attack. You have Mack and then also Akeem Hicks. They're going to be legit coming after Danny Dimes. Is he going to be able to put those dimes on those receivers and get the ball to Shepard? I think they need to utilize Shepard a little bit more in the slot. I was surprised he was on the outside as much. He would be no more than a flex play for me this week. Saquon. You spent so much draft capital. If you have him,
you gotta run him.
You gotta run him. You know what I mean? That's just one of those situations that you gotta run him. Ingram, I would sit. I have to see more. He's talent is not questioned. Just his role in the offense and his ability to be productive. I'm concerned about that in the Giants offense for sure. Darius Slayton,
key. I like him.
I like him a lot. Wide receiver
probably
too.
like their only option right now. Like it's legit option that you could play with confidence.
Yeah, wide receiver too. I say start him for sure. On the Chicago side of things, as we talked about, Allen Robinson storyline is going to be something to watch for the rest of the week. Does he with this trade rumor? How does that affect his play call and his ability to be productive in the offense? Right, he just won his money. I'm not mad at him. So, he's playing. Even with a quarterback where we wouldn't say in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, he's still producing. So that's the question. Do we think Trubisky can continue and actually have a good showing against the Giants?
Trubisky had one good quarter out of 4.
Yeah.
I gotta see at least 2 more quarters of quality play to be 100% sold. But I will say that he showed flashes of what allowed him to win that matchup against Nick Foles.
Yes, he did at moments. You're absolutely right. With Anthony Miller, nice little sleeper. They had a nice little
the size of Jimmy Graham finally, and
we had a little sighting of that touchdown. How about that?
Shocked.
Yes, for sure. Just because of the pressure that I think that the Chicago Bear line is actually going to be able to put on Danny Dimes, I would actually say sit Daniel Jones for this game.
Same here.
But I think Chicago actually finds a way to get the W. Giants are actually going to move to 0-2, in my opinion. Sorry. Yeah. So did those defending Super Bowl champs. They look great on Thursday. They had a nice little rest. I think, that's great. They're going to be going across, a little bit across from the Midwest to West Coast to play those Los Angeles Chargers. Tyrod, I gave him a hard time. I got to give him some credit. He actually did show a little bit better production than I was expecting. Now, Chiefs defense is they're a little suspect, right? When you think about the Chiefs, you definitely think about the offense. You don't think about the defense.
Right.
So, this week as far as
them.
Yeah, exactly. Can you outscore them? Yeah. And that's the question that becomes my question now. Chargers do have weapons. We talk about Keelan Allen. We talk about Austin Eckler. Even though the rookie played nice. Joshua Kelly, he definitely did look nice. It's part of the fold there. Hunter Henry. Still, I was just, we've been expecting that to be a maturation of something great. Still waiting to see. It's
just been like really good with flashes of greatness, right?
Right, exactly. Right. I'm just looking for the consistency with him. But as far as anyone that you would start going against the Chiefs, in a deeper league, I would do the Tyrod Taylor just because, again, the Chiefs defense is not that stout. They can bring pressure, but I think if you're smart with the ball, they can do some things. That Austin Eckler, I think he would have a decent game. Has a nice little flex start option.
Don't forget Mike Williams.
I was about to say, how do you feel about him? Flex?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can, show flashes of, being average. I think average. He's not above average.
Okay,
it's gonna be tough for Keenan Allen to get a group with.
I would probably say sit Keenan. This game or have just temper your expectations to know that you're probably not going to get wide receiver one production. Now, when we talk about the offensive side of the ball for the Chiefs,
start them all.
Right. I was just about to say,
the whole lineup, just start them.
All of them.
It's not many teams where you can say tight end, Kelsey, start him. You talk about quarterback, Pat Mahomes, start him. Wide outs. We talk about Tyreek Hill, start him. We talk about Sammy Watkins, a nice flex option. Listen, that offense, it has so much. And was nothing that showed me last week. And we didn't even talk about the rookie, Clyde.
Yep.
That was hilarious. Start him.
Yeah. Everybody.
Right. That's like I said, it's not many offenses that we have like that in the league, but that is one that's explosive. You could find, Sammy Watkins, like we said, can give you the production of a wide receiver too. Tyreek even though he didn't have an explosive game, he still gave you great production. Still great production last week. So yeah, my opinion, I expect the Chiefs to win going away in this game. I expect them to put up a lot of points. And we talked about an explosive offense that the Chiefs has. Let's talk about a dominating defense that the Baltimore Ravens have, right? Even with letting Earl Thomas go, that defense is legit. It's something where, like I said, the Texans, Deshaun Watson, I think he's going to have moments. It's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough to actually run. Yeah, it's not going to have a lot of opportunities to run. Even run the ball from the running backs. It's not going to be a lot of upper windows to actually throw the ball, or even the pressure is going to be there. It's just going to be a tough matchup. As far as starting, David Johnson looked great last week. He actually showed some sightings. I don't like the matchup as much this week against Baltimore. If you have other options, I would sit David Johnson or temper your expectation down to a flex. Cam, I like what he did. I was happy to actually see him come out in New England. He would seem to be, they used his legs a lot more.
Yeah, that's what I liked.
Right, and I think that was smart, right? To use his strengths. Don't try to force him to be something else. But I think as the year goes along, the offensive playbook is going to open up for him, right? He's going to be able to actually have a lot more chances to throw. I'm not prescribing to actually do that so much this week against Seattle, because that is still a tough defense. Not the Legion of Boom, but it's still a tough defense as far as with that linebacker core with AJ and also Wagner. And then also for
it's just the Legion.
That's right. It's like no boom on the air. I like that. But yeah, Cam this week, I wouldn't expect what you got last week. I would probably, in most cases, unless you absolutely have to, I would probably sit him. Cam this week. Running back situation.
They have a whole committee. They were the ones that started this super committee.
How about that? They definitely did.
But you still gotta have like 3 players at 500 yards or more.
Right.
So they just have like a committee with like 2 players that show out, and the rest just show out 1 game a year.
Right. And so I don't know that I start anyone with extreme confidence this week against Seattle. As far as in the running back situation,
you're saying sit them for the whole running back core.
Yeah. I'm trying to convince myself that with a dump down for Burkhead, maybe.
With his PPR league.
Yeah, PPR league flex. I like him as a option there, just because I think it's gonna be some options for Cam to dump the ball down.
What about on the receiver side?
Edelman. He has a little bit of promise. They had a nice
flex play. I like Edelman.
You guys like anything out of N'Keal Harry?
I didn't see enough to feel comfortable with. I think football wise, he's going to be production, but fantasy
felt that
wise,
there was enough to maybe grab and stash.
Okay, I could go with that.
What may happen in the future.
Right.
I could be convinced of that. I could be convinced of that for sure. But yeah, I think the Seattle takes the W easily in this one. Gonna go back down to 500, but I think it's good things still to come for him for sure. Sunday night football, and then we go to Monday night.
Oh, you're ready for some football?
New Orleans Saints against the Las Vegas Raiders, baby.
That's gonna
Las
be a good
Vegas.
Now that was a show out.
Monday night football. We got the New Orleans Saints at the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders.
That's going to be a great game, I think. I think the first thing that jumps out to you for sure is the running back situation, right? With Alvin Kamara on one side, and then you got Josh Jacobs on the other side.
My God.
And it was
what a game.
I was just about to say the Raiders had a great game last week. with the Carolina Panthers. Going back and forth with that game. I think that that's something that Carr can maybe build on. Right. It seems like he had a little bit of something going, definitely some confidence. One thing for sure, get a ball to Josh and just let him do what he do.
Get out the way.
Get out the way for sure. New Orleans, they had a great win over to Tampa Bay, right? We talked about the Brady and him trying to have to bounce back after a loss, but that was at the hands of the New Orleans Saints, and that offense looked legit. A little bit of not as much production from Michael Thomas, who's going to be dealing with an injury. He's definitely going to be out for a couple of weeks now. Right. But now, it seems like Jared Cook.
Sanders.
I was about to say
Cook too. Yeah.
Cook. Emmanuel Sanders looked great last week. He's definitely a stardom. And then when you talk about at the tight end situation, Jared Cook, I do like him as a stardom. Yeah, Drew Brees, of course. Start him. You gotta start him.
Yep.
I mean, we know the no-brainer with Alvin Kamara, as we talked about. Now, on the Raiders side of things, Carr, I would sit him. If they can make Brady look like that, and we know that Brady is definitely up in age, but like I said, that secondary and New Orleans is going to be something that's going to be talked about all year long. I think they are really legit on that back end, and that's going to be tough for Carr to kind of go against. And it kind of I think it's going to put him in some situations to possibly throw some interceptions. So I would definitely sit him. As far as the wide receivers, you guys like anything with the Raiders?
I like the promise in Ruggs. He shows a lot of promise. The
rookie
Edwards is going to take a little while, but I like
Edwards long term. I'm with you on that. But yeah, you said it's going to take a little bit more raw. But it's going to take a little bit of time. But I think the Saints, even with Mike Thomas being out this week, I think they find a way to get a W and go up 2-0, right? And kind of take control of that division still. But it's going to be a great one for Monday night. I think Carr and I'm going to make it a little bit interesting. I think most people are going to look at it and say, New Orleans is going to blow them out. I think the Raiders keep it a little bit more interesting. And their new home in Las Vegas.
Same here.